Historically speaking, this is our first ever production under the club's name.
We came up with the idea for Duende because we think that more Mexican folklore should be spoken about.
During Halloween, and they're like making a scary movie. So I was like, you know what would be cool if you guys made a movie about a duende? And they're like, oh, what is that? And I kind of pitched the story. They're like, all right, bro, but it would make it, you had to direct it or you had to come up with the story. And I was like, bro, I thought it was a good idea, but then I never I have never directed nothing like in this scale. Yeah, I just grew up hearing stories about duendes, especially my great grandma's house. And she had like big backyard with trees and stuff, and she used to tell me there were like duendes in the back. And then later in life, I found out what was a duende and like the inspiration and the whole background of duendes is really native folklore too. It's just like they had different names.
Originally, it was gonna be a film, right? The main idea came from actually Ricardo Sanchez, a good friend of mine. We collaborated and we linked up. Duende originates from Mexican and Latino folk stories, folk tales. So it's basically like a gnome or like an elf. I was like, how can we incorporate some stories or some history into my scripts?
The iteration that we're going with is the doll. Duendes can be spirits, goblins, or just like the dolls. So I guess it would be the spirit inside the doll.
Just the little jokes that we have within the film that is so like funny in our culture. Having that portrayed in the film gives it like, is more authentic. Having those little Spanish dialogues, I thought it was really important because it's a Latino film inspired by Latino folklore. So definitely I wanted to have some of those elements. And later throughout the next episodes, we're gonna integrate more of like the native culture into the scene. So I just wanted to make sure that, we're not taking this as a joke, that our culture is definitely represented and wanted to represent it the right way.
My mom was like, you gotta do your research. I mean, like a big, powerful move that I believe all writers should do, or like even directors, when taking on a project, do your research first. Like don't do anything inaccurate. So that's why I tell everybody, there's moments of frustration, but my mom was always on my booty about, and on my ass about like, hey, do your research. So I'm like, oh my God, okay. I actually did the research in like 2 days. I was writing on a whiteboard like stories, Aztecs, what they thought. Oh, Incas, now like sightings. Oh, the old man that saw a duende, like how can we incorporate these stories, right? But having a background, having a template. The indigenous people of Mexico would actually say that the duendes were the protectors of the crops and of the forests, that sometimes they would pray to the duendes to bring rain into their crop. I remember reading and doing research on YouTube, all that stuff, that the duende actually can't be summoned. The duende actually chooses its victim or person. You can't choose it, it chooses you. So I'm like, ooh, I kind of like that little twist. Let's put it in there.
Yeah, this is my first time. Like, I'm an engineering major, so like, I don't know nothing about film except watching. It just like, I wanted to have the film feel of old Mexican movies, because I also grew up watching like old, like golden era Mexican movies. We're lucky enough that Daniel knows somebody with a lot of equipment. So the lighting, the sound, the camera, we had all good equipment. It was just like how to use it.
We're not only a film club, we are a cultural club as well. We like to bring cultural aspects. So we're like, we need money for equipment. We want to do a cultural event. What is something that we all love to do that's in our culture? Dance, obviously. So we thought of banda night. Well, Alan thought of banda night. We put that together and we got like over 300 people to come, and we raised, I think, more than $1K. That helped us set the tone to get more equipment, and that's why we're doing Banda Night 2, which has Noches Tropicales and things like that. And we're gonna have vendors for the fundraising to get equipment, because the equipment that we use right now is the seniors' equipment. So next year, the club is kind of not really left with like our own equipment. Like we can always go to the library, but it's a different feeling than actually having your own equipment and learning how to use that and being consistent with it. Having our own equipment is very important. So that's why we do these events.
It's a really big thing for me. I grew up with a lot of like mythology, folklore, fables, and I'm just a huge fanatic of these kinds of things. So to get to be working on a project that's kind of like putting my childhood out there, it's a dream.